Have you ever reached that point in your life where you feel like you've done everything, you've experienced everything that life has to give from your kind of little internal bubble that is your own world? You've experienced love and romance with people, and you just kind of think to yourself, yeah, but what if those people had the body of a snake? I know a great many people who have begun with this series, and regular women just don't do it anymore for them. It's Monster Musume, everyday life with monster girls. It's bound to happen eventually, come on. Going straight in with the criticisms right away, I'm not entirely fond of the slightly smaller print of these, only because when you consider that this is like an ecchi manga, it's actually quite dense and takes some reading. So for someone with rubbish eyesight like myself, it actually took a bit of reading. But you don't want to know about that. You want to know about the monster boobies. Yeah, basically, right. The premise of this is dead simple. There are monster girls. There is an exchange program in place where the monster people get to live with the human people, and this poor bloke here basically gets lumbered with loads of them. And they're all very beautiful and very sexy in their own special ways. One's a snake, one's a bird, one's a horse, but you can't have sex with any of them because that is bad. And it would cause this like diplomatic incident that, I don't know, maybe it'd start a war, I don't know, all because some bloke banged a snake. The concept is pretty ridiculous. And I'm not really one for kind of harem series like this. Like I mentioned in my prison school review, I like a bit of titillation here and there, but I'm not really one for having it all the time in my face constantly. I mean, I wouldn't complain with having boobs in my face constantly, but in a manga, come on, you gotta have something a bit more interesting than this. There's something about Monster Musume, and it's not just the monster girls, it's just funny in its own kind of crass way. So how it works is a monster person, known as a liminal, gets kind of like, it's almost like an exchange program if you go to another country. They get put with a host family who looks after them, and they get to learn how human society works, and the host family gets to kind of learn about how they work, and it's all about kind of integrating the two societies together. Now, what's his bloody name? So, Kurusu Kimihito, either by administrative cock-up or just simply by the coordinators' plain laziness, ends up looking after Mia, who's a Lamia, snake woman. Now, normally, like I say, they get put with like a proper family, but being alone with a snake girl who adores him and just wants him to do things to her all the time, a little bit complicated, especially when you're not allowed to have sex with the monster women. Big no-no. Said that before, it's a big no-no. You won't listen though, will you? But yeah, Mia's adorable in her own special way. She's absolutely infatuated with Darling, and will pretty much do everything in her power to make sure that his face is constantly planted between her boobs, and her tail is wrapped around him to a point where he's choking to death. This is all put into place by Ms. Smith, who is the coordinator. Basically, her job is to keep an eye on the host family and the exchange person, and make sure that nothing goes wrong. She's not very good at it though, like I say, she's a bit lazy and just doesn't care by the looks of things. Smith is about as useful as tits on a fish, but Mero isn't introduced until the next volume, so we'll leave that for now. So over the course of the volume, Kurusu ends up with two other girls, the harpy called Pappy, who is an idiot. She's incredibly dumb. The one thing I do like about her in the manga is that she calls him boss, which I don't know why, it just strikes a chord with me. Then you've got Centauria as well, who is a centaur, as you probably guessed by her name. She speaks with kind of like the oldie English sort of tones, and is very much about pride. She's a warrior. So yeah, the manga essentially introduces those three characters, the concept of the exchange program, what people can and can't do. It touches on like the animosity between the humans and the monster races because they've not really interacted before now, and this actually gives Kurusu a couple of opportunities to be a bit of a badass. So the opening volume just kind of introduces the concept, gives you those three characters to begin with, and just gives you some early interactions between the group. And at the very end it introduces the idea that at some point Kurusu's going to have to pick one of them to take as a bride, because if he does that, He can bang him! Yeah! And that's what we all care about. So yeah, it's not usually my thing, but it's different, it's a lot of fun, and it's quirky. The thing I like about this as well is it's got a little fun chapter at the end. I don't normally read those, but this one was pretty funny. So yeah, if you're into your boobs and your monster girls, and if you haven't read it already, which by the signs of things everyone has by this point, so this video's kind of redundant really, but either way, I really like it.